in this video, I have a saying about giving a rat's ass that's kind of funny. That how can you give a rat's ass? The ass of the rat isn't yours to give, so let the rat keep his ass. Or you can pick up a rat and hand him to somebody else's ass first, and yes, you're giving a rat's ass. And if the other person wants to accept the rat ass first, to give a rat's ass, you're sort of offering up the rat's ass, and it's up to the other person if he wants to accept. So I'll have another saying too, that in some certain things, that if a rat's ass should really be offered or even given about a particular subject. So that's what I say about tolerance to a certain thing. You can say sometimes you give a shit. There's some and I also have a thing where I say there's certain aspects of giving a shit or giving a fuck. It's not that I don't give a shit or give a fuck. It's there's some aspects of giving a shit or giving a fuck that I don't give a shit or a fuck about. And at any given time, when and where should a rat's ass be given, or a fuck be given, or a shit be given, or even offered? You know what I mean? Alright, what's up, yins, guys? Time for another video. And this will be another video, once again, how I explain to you how I take apart the illusion and the delusion of left wing and right wing, how take down the curtain, so to speak, and show you how left wing and right wing both have their own left wing and right wing, and how you can turn things around or turn things upside down. Stand this way, you have left and right, but then you go turn around and face this way. The left becomes right, right becomes left. They have a left, and they also have left and right wing, their own left and right wing inside their cells, both left and right. Have that inside their cells. Another example of this, I wanted to gear this toward making my case for what I preach all the time, a falsified and manipulated version of humbleness, if you will. And I'm not going to say this to bash all religion and bash, which I'm trying to tell you, the left and right both have their own left and right, a relatively decent side and an asshole side. And for example, they both want you to humble yourself or educate yourself, but they want, actually what they really want is to make you willingly go down a notch or two. Rules for me, not for thee. Rules for thee, not for me. Humble yourself or bring yourself down, while they themselves could be on a stage in front of an audience. And this went on before. There are social media influencers now, but this went on way before there was such thing as a social media influencer. But social media influencer on many sides and angles, politically and religiously, or also want to be social media influencers, but very manipulative. But anyway, let's take the right wing first. Okay, you got the relatively decent right wing, which the far radical left doesn't like and bitches about. Religion is involved at a relatively decent level, humbling yourself before God, or a God, or whatever, what you want to believe in, or whatever, for the sake of the argument here. Relatively decent. But the radical left will say, if you're not part of them, but rather not confuse you, just put the left aside for a second, talk about the right. Okay, I don't got much to say about relatively decent, easy to get along with, and I'll say even some of the left, the better left, them and the right could get along, like I said before, like in my subject about workplaces and things. But the far right, okay, is you don't even want to say all the TV preachers are bad. If you want to say, put races into it, both black and white people, you can argue that they need some kind of moral figure to look up to without putting on a pedestal, right, that's the same color as them, and then maybe look at some of them with a different color.
both black and white people, whatever nationality you are, right? But the for relatively decent right have a tendency to have relatively decent solutions for tolerance of other races and tolerating humbling yourself before God, say other people. A decent part of humility, you know what I'm saying, without without being an asshole, you know what I mean? Where the far right has a tendency to be up on that stage, be the preacher on stage, and tell everybody else how to humble themselves. But they got big-ass egos on the freaking stage, both the ones black or white. Well, you have better ones, black or white, too. But inflated egos, they make the money, they make the rules. And then the born-again Christians that follow them become born-again fools. Or they got so much pride, they put so much money into giving to these people, they don't want to admit that they were ever wrong, so to speak, and keep pandering to them or whatever. People give them big checks. They have a tendency to tell you how to be humble, but they're egotistic as hell on stage and actually say they're entitled because, quote, God blessed them. And matter of fact, God didn't bless them. The fools that gave them all the money are the ones to bless them. And, yeah, you can go on and on about that, that I'm almost ready to bust out laughing, pausing about this, but, yeah, they make the money, they make the rules, and, tell you how to be humble, and tell you what you can and can't have, and can and can't think. You've got to be a few notches below them. Oh, no, they got rules for you and themselves. But what I also had to pause and think too, what I wanted to touch on. Not only do they have rules for me, not thee, they have rules for you and the other narcissistic jackasses that are maybe a notch below them to give them money. They can tell you and me what to do, but yet they have and tell you where it's at, but yet they have also double standards and rules for their people who write them big checks, who have a tendency to be very big, egotistic and narcissistic, and look down on everybody and talk down on everybody. Okay, so that's how that is with them. Okay, and then if you got this far in this video, let's talk about the far left. The far left that doesn't like the far right, and the relatively decent left could be accused once again of being on the far right if they are kind of on the left for good reasons and the poor, but they ain't with the far left. You can be accused of being the far left, because the far left doesn't even like a moderate, halfway decent right. They just hate you with a passion. Their version of humbleness, they hate God, and of course they'll point out the television preachers are making all the money, but they don't like relatively decent people on the right, Christians either. They, and matter of fact, their version of humbleness is their preachers that will go social media. They rely on social media influencers, people on YouTube, or sometimes even go on TV, and they bring other races into it. And you got to prove that you're not racist according to their way if you bring other races in it. And their version of humbleness is geared toward, if you're one of them, you always got to make sure you're a couple notches down before them. And also their version of humbleness requires you to self-degrade to a point. They can grace you with being a couple notches below them, you know what I mean? But they'd rather have you self-degrade if you're one of them people that are one of them. That you got to follow. If you join their side, it's always, even if you work really zealously according to their side, you got to make sure you're a couple notches below them. You're never their equal. They preach equality, but you'll never be their equal if you join them. The ones that are the main preachers that bring you in, if you want, you have to be one of the sheep that bring. If you're one of the sheep that are brought into their fold, oh, they preach equality, but you're never their equal. You got to be a couple notches below them, and you got to let them talk down to you too. And you're required to self-degrade so that you don't hurt anybody's feelings, or physically and mentally too. And I actually preach too. Maybe too much muscle development, and on the surface too. You disagree with anything, and you might be a militant for the right. Too. If you question or stand up to them, and you always end up. You always got a taking a knee too, and like I said, it's not equality, like they say, and their idea of humbleness is self-degrade. Put yourself a few notches below them, and if you stand up to them, you'll be considered egotistic or a sociopath, or maybe even a militant for the right. But their people are allowed to make money, which they accuse. They'll throw the television preachers in your face and bring it up. But they themselves are preachers that want to make money. They preach their stuff. They're just, and they don't. Some of them claim they don't believe in God, but they're preaching. They preach a dogma. You got to humble, not just their version of humble, and their humbling yourself is self-degrading. They got their designated enforcing class too. They don't like the far right. They don't like the police or military, which, yes, there is a corrupt or too aggressive of a police and military for stupid shit. I understand that, but you got to take a knee, and they don't like the police, but you got to worship Mr. King of the Streets, and they indicate that Mr. King of the Streets can beat you up and do all the brutality they accuse the police of. Just the police ain't allowed to do it, but Mr. King of the Streets and his pals, or whoever it is, some black and white or like mixed, you gotta include everybody so you don't get accused of being racist after all. But yeah, they're enforcing class, whether it's physically enforcing or... Oh, and this is another thing before I forget too. This side's version of humbling yourself always means educate yourself. The right, whether the far right or the asshole far right or the relatively decent right, will have a version of educating yourself too. Educating yourself meaning become aware and self-aware. And there's a side of that too, that being too self-aware, they'll say, is of the devil at their convenience too. You're not allowed to, if you act too articulate and smart, but yet their people are allowed to be articulate. Well, the far left is the same way too. You're not allowed to, the far left gets to tell you how articulate you're allowed to be, and both sides got the both sides will play the pseudo-intellectual card for their convenience. The far left, when they say educate yourself, it means educate yourself with all their stuff. They don't want you to educate yourself with any other kind of cool facts that you're not allowed to check anything on every angle. You're not allowed to be what do you call it? Late George Carlin said too, they don't want well-informed, free-thinking individuals, but yet you can take the free-thinking facet of the thing right on both extreme sides, and that free-thinking can be accused of being of the devil or militant, depending on which side you piss off. Depending on which radical side you can't satisfy, or which radical side that you piss off, be of the devil, satanic, or the left is. You could, on the left, the side of the left will accuse you of being a militant for the right and racist or whatever, but yet, and anybody that's black that is free thinking, that criticizes their own, the left will say they need to be seen the error of their ways, and all that happy horseshit. And I'll tell you once again too, my little joke. It can only be happy horseshit. Can only be happy horseshit if it comes from the butt of a happy horse. If the horse is not happy when it takes a shit, then obviously that horseshit cannot be called happy horseshit. That's just the smart ass shit that I've adopted from or picked up of my own versions of. I don't want to go through my life story, but I had stepbrothers and my stepfather and stepbrothers side of the family were puns and word shit, and you grew up with modified versions of that, becoming a smartass. A smartass that can sit on ice cream, not only to just tell you what flavor it is, it can tell you what paper company the box came from, and where the ingredients were manufactured and created at, and what factory it came from, and yada yada. But yeah, you got the gist of that. Two extreme self-manufactured and manipulated versions of humbleness that when you take apart, you got to be able to take apart the aspects and definitions of humbleness, how people play with words and will redefine things in a dishonest level, and then come together with it. You want a better world. Like I said, some people on the right and on the left can criticize the right and the left, and realize that there's an asshole side to the side that they pander, and there's a relatively decent side that maybe people can come to the table and say, just like the late George Carlin said, or the YouTuber Pat Condell that doesn't do any more YouTube videos, that guy from England, that Pat Condell, if you got this far in this word, he had a very interesting video about the progressivism is wearing a liberal mask. But then how people play with words, you can still agree with his video and say, what if you can say progressivism and liberalism are just labels that can be twisted, and you can even say liberalism is wearing a progressive. Is liberalism wearing a progressive mask, or progressivism wearing a liberal mask? Well, a little bit of both, because people freaking play with words. So you got to define behaviors, because people twist and add to and reverse psychology. You know what I mean? So his video stands, and he got his video on the danger of what socialism and shit like that. That's the kind of shit we're dealing with.